everyone, welcome back to part 2 of my June reading wrap-up. This is my manga reading log for the month of June, so that will include all of the manga that I read during the month. I did participate in the Whateverthon, which is hosted by Book Browsing Blog, as well as the Manga Pride Readathon, which is hosted by Bizarre Individual. It's Rachel and Dynamic Dylan. Everything will be linked down in the description box below. But because I was participating in 2 readathons, I did read quite a bit. I ended up reading 28 total things, so that is why I have broken down my wrap-up into 2 parts. So this part is manga only, my previous part, part 1, if you're interested in watching to see what books I read during the month. That has already gone up on my channel, and I'll link it down in the description box below as well. But I did read quite a bit of manga for the Manga Pride Readathon, though I did read a couple volumes of manga that did not count towards that readathon, so I'm going to go ahead and start with those volumes first, and then we'll get into the things that I read for the Manga Pride Readathon. So first up, I read Yakuza Lover. This is by Nozomi Mino, published by Viz and rated mature. I do already have a series first impressions video up on my channel for this one, so if you're interested in my thoughts on this particular volume, I'll link that down in the description box below so you can check that out. Next up, I read volumes 1 through 4 of Absolute Duo. This one, the art was done by Shinichiro Narie, original story by Takumi Hiira-Gaboshi, and character design by Yu Asaba. This one's published by 7 Seas and is rated teen through volume 3, but volume 4 is rated older teen. This particular story follows our main character Kokonoe Tor, and he is one of the individuals that was injected with these nanorobots that allow him to create what's known as a blaze or a weapon from his soul. So he gets invited to this academy, and unbeknownst to everybody else that is there who has received acceptance letters, they are actually not truly accepted yet. They need to battle with the person that is sitting next to them, and only the victor of those battles is able to enroll at this school. And so Tor is there for a particular reason. There's something in his past that is the reason why he is at this particular school, so he really needs to win that battle. And that being said, he does end up winning the battle and ends up enrolling at the school, and then the series follows him taking classes and learning how to use his blaze, and also teaming up with this girl here on the cover whose name is Julie, as in this school they do need to partner up. And so that's pretty much what this story is about. I will tell you that these 4 volumes are just the first quarter of this story. There were actually 12 volumes released in Japan, but only 4 of them were translated. I don't feel like this is a complete story in what I read. I think if it had just cut off a little earlier, I would have felt better about where this 4th installment ended. Like I said, this 4th volume is rated older teen, whereas the previous 3 volumes are rated teen, and that is because the 4th volume does get a little bit more graphic. There's more nudity. This series includes a lot of fan service, which I wasn't prepared for. I don't quite enjoy fan service a lot in general, but in the first volume it was tolerable for me, but as I started getting through the volumes, they had more and more fan service-y moments, and I didn't enjoy that at all. When I started reading this series, it definitely reminded me of Hayate Crossblade, which I can't remember who the mangaka is on that right now, but I read it several years ago. I really, really enjoyed it. That was another series that wasn't published to entirety in English. But I remember enjoying that series a lot more than I enjoyed this one. That being said, when I looked at my Goodreads rating for it, it was more towards I liked this as opposed to I really enjoyed this. So now I'm thinking I should reread Hayate Crossblade because, like I said, I remember enjoying it a lot more than I rated it, and I definitely enjoyed that series more than this one. So if you're interested in more of a school-like setting with kind of battle things and learning how to use weapons and things like that in your manga, I would definitely recommend Hayate Crossblade over this one. But I am glad I did finally read this. I did just finish getting all of the volumes of this series this year. It was my BookTube Spin selection, and I will link a video down in the description box below in case you're interested in knowing what that's all about. But I did talk about it in my TBR video. And so yeah, we're on our third spin for that. I have participated all 3 rounds, so I do have 2 more selections for the next 3 months. So I will be reading those selections coming up soon. But yeah, I am glad I read this one. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, but let me just show you the rest of the covers while I have them here. I did like the art style, but like I said, the fan service was just too much for me. And so yeah, that was all that I read that wasn't for the Manga Pride Readathon. So now let's get into the volumes that I did read for the Manga Pride Readathon. Starting with 10 volumes of After School Nightmare. This one is by Satono Mizushiro and is published by Go Komi. I believe this one is rated older teen. Yes. And so I'm going to put this stack down because there are a lot, and I think that by showing you all of the covers for this series, it is going to be spoilery, and so I'm only going to be showing you the first 2 volumes. But I did buddy read this series with my friend Bizarre Individual. He is linked down in the description box below because he was one of the hosts of the Manga Pride Readathon, and I am very thankful that we buddy read this series together. I'm also very thankful that we finally got to buddy read something together, because we tried to in the past and just wasn't able to get together to complete that series. But I really enjoyed talking to him about this one. This particular series follows Mashiro. He identifies as male, he presents as male, and he is intersex. So his genitals and his reproductive organs are female, but he identifies as male. And at the beginning of this series, in the first few pages, like literally the first few pages of this first volume, something traumatic happens to him. He goes to school that day and he is approached by a school nurse who tells him he has to participate in this after school program. It's really strange because she starts leading him to this place where this place wasn't even there in this school before. So he thinks that's really weird. This after school program, basically, he goes into this room and there's a lot of beds in the room, but they're all covered by these canopies. So there are other people in the beds, and he's told he must drink this like tea. And the tea basically puts him to sleep. He goes into this dream world where he needs to battle it out with the other people that are in this after school program, because the key to getting out of the dream is in one of the participants' bodies. So they basically need to slaughter each other to find out which of the bodies contains the key, and whoever can obtain the key can use it to unlock the door that will allow them to graduate. So all of the other participants who don't graduate basically just wake up from this dream. That being said, the person that does graduate seems to just disappear from the school. So that's really strange, right? The other thing that's really strange is when Mashiro goes into this dream world, he's presenting as female. So he's wearing a girl's uniform, his hair is made up a little bit more female, and so that's really confusing to him as well, because he's told that when they're in this dream state, that's basically what they look like inside. That's who they are inside. And so the story follows Mashiro trying to work out his feelings about that, going through this program, meeting a couple of the other kids that are in the program. And I think that's pretty much all I want to say about this, because if I say anything more, I think it's going to spoil things. That also being said, I think I can't really let you know my feelings on this in detail without giving away spoilers. But I did enjoy reading this series, especially because I was reading it with a friend. There are a lot of things that I feel need to be discussed about this. There are a lot of things that come up that I felt were not appropriate. I felt like some of the things that happened with Mashiro was being forced upon him instead of him wanting to go in certain directions. I don't feel like the romantic interests in this series, there are two, as you can see on this cover. He does have romantic interests that are female and male, and I don't feel like either of them were good fits for him. I don't feel like they would have been healthy I don't feel like they are healthy relationships either. I had problems with both of them. I had problems with a lot of things in this series. And when it got down to the end and we find out why this whole after-school program existed and why Mashiro was going through this program to try to graduate from it, I'm just going to say that when I got to finding out what this after-school program was about and why these kids were going through this program, I felt like the story wasn't what I thought it was going to be about. And I'm going to leave it at that, because like I said, if I say any more, it's going to give away spoilers. But I really enjoyed the fact that, and I will show you in the second volume, because if I show you in the first volume, it's going to give away something. But in the first few volumes of this series, we do get nice color pages. That does stop about halfway, I think, into the series, where we lose the color pages in the beginning, and I thought that was unfortunate because I really enjoyed seeing these color pages. It was something I really looked forward to every time I opened up a new volume. But yeah, though I am glad that I read this series, I was disappointed by it. Now, there was an author's note at the end where the mangaka tells you what her vision for the story was. There are also mangaka notes throughout the volumes, but there's a particularly long note at the end, once you finish reading the entire manga, letting you know what the vision was for this series and telling you that there were little hints along the way that you were supposed to pick up on, which led to how this story ended. And I didn't get that at all. So I'm interested to see what I think on a reread of this series, especially knowing now how the story ends, if that will change my view on what happened here. I was telling Bazaar that I think if I had read the end first and then gone back to the beginning, I might have had a more favorable view of the series. But as of right now, I didn't dislike it. I enjoyed it. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. So again, thank you Bazaar for buddy reading this with me, and we need to buddy read something else together soon. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I read all 10 volumes, and I'm glad that I did finally read this one. I am showing you these volumes in no particular order because I read so much, and between that and all of the novels I read, I just stacked everything up. So this is in no particular order, but the next one I'm going to talk about is Our Not So Lonely Planet Travel Guide by Mone Sorai, Volume 1. This one's published by Tokyo Pop, rated teen, and this story follows our two main characters, Asahi and Mitsuki, and they are basically traveling the world before they get married. So in this particular volume, we follow them on their first stage of their kind of world tour or vacation, if you will. Color page on the cover here, or not cover, but the first page. The art style is definitely very interesting. It's not something that I normally gravitate towards, but the synopsis for this series really caught me. So they're going to Thailand, India, and Georgia in this one, and Georgia the country, not Georgia, United States, and it shows you that on the back cover here. Those are not countries that I particularly have on my list to visit in my lifetime. I'm not somebody who likes to travel in the first place, but I did enjoy seeing these countries in the views that were being shown to me by their visit. So there's a lot of food, which I enjoyed because food's always something that I'm interested in seeing, especially different types of food from different countries. A lot of it I had never heard of before, so that was very interesting to me. This one kind of felt like it was moving slowly though. I will be picking up the next installment in this series. There is something in here that I'm very curious about. I'm not going to say it because it'll give away some spoilers, but something kind of comes up where I'm thinking, okay, there's a story to that. So I'm hoping to see the answer to that in a later installment. But I'm curious to see also where else they're planning on going, because we don't get their itinerary. We don't get the full picture of all of the countries that they're going to be visiting. So even though these particular countries were ones that I was never really interested in visiting, I really enjoyed seeing it through their lens, and I'm looking forward to seeing where else they go. Next up was I Hear the Sunspot, Volume 1 by Yuki Fumino. This one is published by One Piece Books, and I believe it's rated teen. I would have to say it's rated teen. This one follows, so many people I read about this month. Taichi is kind of down on his luck. He's broke. He just got fired from his job. And he basically rolls into Kohei, who kind of has this reputation of being icy. And that's because Kohei has a hearing disability. He's not deaf, but he can't hear very well. And he actually is sitting like by a river or something when Taichi rolls into him, and he literally like rolls into him, and he's starving, and Kohei is there eating his lunch, and Kohei offers him his lunch. So that's how these two people meet. And Taichi later finds out that Kohei is looking for a note taker, somebody to take notes during classes for him so that he can study, because he can't hear the lectures that are being presented in class. So Taichi tells Kohei he'll go ahead and be his note taker if Kohei will supply him with lunch. So they form this kind of friendship and this like business partnership, and it may bloom into something more. But I enjoyed this one as well. This one was kind of a slower story also. I ended up picking up this one because it was one of the Whateverthon host favorites. And I only have this one, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was really sweet. Again, food. We see the lunches that Kohei brings for Taichi, and I thought it was really sweet again. So I'm looking forward to reading more in this series. Next up was probably one of my favorite reads of the month, and that is 7 Days, Monday through Sunday. Story by Venio Tachibana, art by Rihito Takarai. This one's published by Sublime Rated Teen. This one follows Shino, who is, he dates a lot of girls, and he's really attractive. All the girls love him. They all want to date him, but every time one does date him, they break up with him because he's not the person they thought he'd be. And so he's not had great luck in the relationship department. Then you also find Serio, and he is someone who has this reputation of dating somebody for a week, and then that's pretty much it. It never goes further than that. So every week he's got somebody asking him out on Monday, and so he's kind of built up that kind of relationship, and because of that, the girls kind of gravitate towards him as well. Both of these characters are on their high school archery team, and so they know about each other. Shino is kind of just feeling like blah about his life at the time. He ends up going to a parking lot to pick up the lunch that's being delivered for him and his friends, and finds Serio at the parking lot, and just on a whim says, "Hey, has anybody asked you out yet this week?" And Serio goes, "No." And he goes, "Well, then we should date." And the story follows them through their week of dating. I loved this story. It was so cute. I just thought that everything that happened with them happened so naturally. At first, Shino's unsure about if Serio's really taking this seriously. And then as the days go by and they realize that their time is running out together, the way that they start, the way that their relationship kind of progresses through that, it was just so sweet. And I really liked how Serio really took it seriously from the get-go. Like, Shino didn't think that he was even like remotely open to this. He kind of like said it as a joke, and then all of a sudden he's like, no, this is really happening, and just falls into it. And I really love this story. Now, there is a novel out there that, if you read the summary, is pretty much sounds like it ripped off this entire story. I had read this one because of the controversy of that. I know now that the summary for that particular novel does say that this book was heavily inspired by 7 Days, but it hadn't before all the controversy. I don't like to pass judgment on things without actually reading it, so I may read that novel just to see if there is any difference at all. I will not be spending money on it. I would be borrowing it from my library because I don't want to support an author that rips off an author of color, no less. But I don't want to pass judgment without knowing myself that it was a ripoff. So I may be reading that in the future, but I really love this story, and I definitely recommend, if you love sweet romance stories, even if you're not into BL, if you love sweet romance stories, this is definitely a winner. So I really loved that one. Now, I did put out 2 other standalone type videos, so I won't be wrapping up the volumes that I will talk to you about next. But these 3 volumes I read. The Bride Was a Boy by Chi. This one is published by 7 Seas Rated Teen. I also read I Married My Best Friend to Shut My Parents Up, story and art by Kodama Naoko, published by 7 Seas Rated Older Teen. And I read Our Dining Table, story and art by Mita Ori. This one is published by 7 Seas Rated Teen. I have these 3 in a standalone thoughts video that is already up on my channel. So if you're interested in hearing what I thought about these 3, definitely check that video out. I will link it down in the description box below. But I would have to say that my other favorite read of the month was Our Dining Table. Again, very sweet story. And so these 2, Our Dining Table and 7 Days, would be the ones that I would say were definitely my favorite reads of the month. So the last 3 volumes I'll be talking about today also have their own video, and so that is Escape Journey Volume 1. This is by Ogaretsu Tanaka, published by Sublime, rated mature, 10 count. Volume 1, story and art by Haruhito Takarai, published by Sublime, rated mature. And then Cherry Magic, 30 Years of Virginity Can Make You a Wizard, Volume 1 by Yu Toyota. This one's published by Square Enix Manga, rated mature. So I ended up reading these 3 in a manga first impressions vloggy type video. And so if you're interested in hearing what I thought about these 3, these were host favorites. Definitely check out my manga first impressions video down in the description box below. So that covers all of the manga that I read for the month of June. I'm going to try something a little different for the month of July. We'll see how that goes, but that was a lot. I am participating in another reading challenge in the month of July. That is the Full Metal Challenge, which is hosted by Novel Serendipity. And so it's a 3-month reading challenge where we're trying to create a Philosopher's Stone. So the first month is ingredients, and so we're trying to collect all of the ingredients to create our Philosopher's Stone. Those have prompts, and so I do plan on finishing that challenge. Don't want to not finish that challenge because then my Philosopher's Stone might be wonky, but I do plan on reading more manga in the month of July, so I hope you'll stick around. Let me know if you've read any of these volumes and what you thought of them, or if you participated in the Manga Pride Readathon. Also, if you made it to this point of the video, if you could leave me the number 7 or the word 7 down in the comments below for 7 days, because that was one of my favorite reads of the month, that would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out, and that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.